It's the middle of November here in 2024-25 school year, and we're going to catch up with Wyoming High School Activities Association Commissioner Trevor Wilson. We've already had a couple board meetings this year. A couple more will come after the first of the year. And Trevor, thanks so much for taking a few minutes here. We just wrapped up the fall sports weekend here in Laramie, where I'm at. How would you kind of, I guess, reflect and kind of think about how things went this fall for Wyoming High School sports?
Well, number one, I think the weather was outstanding. I mean, even in Laramie in the middle of November, if it doesn't snow, I think it was 55 degrees. You were there on Friday, a little chillier on Saturday, but no snow. Wind was mild, and it was, for outside events, outdoor events, if the weather's nice, things go a lot better. So I think overall it went very well. We're happy with how things went, and we really appreciate everybody that came together in the University of Wyoming and helping us out. That's just a great place for our kids, and it's a great way to end our fall season.
Any highlights that kind of jump out at you in terms of the fall, Trevor?
Well, obviously Sheridan winning 45 or whatever in a row. That's the last thing that I remember, but nothing really. Just like I said, the weather was awesome, and we had very minimal issues and good crowds. So I think it was a great fall season.
All right, let's talk about a couple of things that have transpired in the first couple of board meetings. Nothing I think that is, gigantic like we've had in the last couple of years. But one thing is, it looks like increasing the number of participants for girls swimming and diving between the finals and consolation finals moving forward. Assuming that takes effect not this school year, but next school year. Give me some details about that, actually.
Well, it'll go into effect since it's a reclass issue and a change to culminating events. It actually won't go into place until 26, 27. So we
Okay.
got some time to do that. But I think the rationale behind it is just add a couple additional qualifiers, one in the finals, one in the console, or two in the console finals. We have 8-lane pools. That rule has probably been in effect for 30 years when we had 6-lane pools. So it's just a way to get more kids involved. I don't think it's going to benefit any team or another. It's just another way to get more kids in the finals and the console finals.
Anything else that kind of is on the radar here is as we get, you're through two board meetings, but I guess is quiet a good thing right now, maybe?
Quiet's always a good thing. Um, the one thing I've tasked our handbook committee with kind of drafting an NIL policy. So we're almost finished with that, and our plan is then to take it out in our district meetings in January, see what our schools think, and then if they feel like it's okay, then we'll bring it out as a first reading item in April. But other than that, David, it's been quiet, and again, we like quiet, but we're ready for our winter season to start. I think Nordic started today, right? Yeah, Nordic ski started today, and the rest of them will start on the 25th. So full speed ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say we're not a lot of transition. It's right into it. So, but there are
Exactly.
a couple things around football is kind of become a big topic, and I think it's kind of some unfortunate situations. This began kind of smaller scale. Guernsey-Sunrise made a tough decision to forfeit the remainder of their season, and then, as you put out a statement, they're already forfeiting next year's 9-man season. That gives those teams maybe a chance to hopefully find a game or something. We know how difficult scheduling can be.
Yeah.
What's the conversation there? Because I'm pretty sure they're actually a 6-man team that opted up. Are they trying to go back to 6-man in the future? What's the status you can give us there?
Well, I would say that's probably, as you know, once you commit, it's a 2-year commitment. So unfortunately, Guernsey, when they made that decision to go 9-man, and you're right, it was opting up to 9-man. They felt like they had 18 to 20 kids and they'd be okay. Well, for whatever reasons, eligibility, kids move, injuries, all those things. Well, they just couldn't field the team this year. And then looking ahead to next year, after meeting with parents and staff and the kids, they just decided, we won't be able to field one next year. So we're going to do our best tomorrow to try to find some JV 6-man games so that at least our kids get a chance to play. And then moving forward, I'm guessing they're just going to stay in 6-man because that's where they're going to be classified at and give those kids an opportunity. So that's very, very unfortunate, but at least those kids hopefully will get some games next fall. And as a side note, the 9-man schools decided they just met in our office at 8 o'clock this morning. They redid their schedules. So if you take Guernsey out, then you're 6 and 6 on each side. So they have the 5 conference games, and then they cross conference the other 3. So it's clean, a little bit of travel, but they have 8 games, and they made it work, and they got their officials lined up. So kudos to them for making that work.
So that's an update on Guernsey. I think the bigger one, and obviously it drew a lot of conversation, especially kind of, after a forfeit game in 4A and things, is Cheyenne South. And I know that it's not just your decision, the board and the school and everybody, a lot of different moving parts to this. But what is your perspective on what's going on with Cheyenne South? And is there even conversation for folks out there that are curious about them being slotted down just to try and help resurrect that football program?
Yeah, I mean it's unfortunate what's going on in South. I mean, as an association, and you know this, we set the classifications, and in football it's top 10 and 12 and so forth. Schools have the opportunity if they want to ask us to opt down, which means they're not eligible for postseason. So that's not a great decision either. Um, but what that would also mean, then that would put 9 schools in 4A and 13 in 3A. That's impossible to schedule. I mean, whenever you have that open, that odd week, I mean, somebody's not playing. So I don't have an answer. I've talked to with Wendy Johnson at Cheyenne South at the state volleyball tournament. They're discussing things as a staff and a community as far as what they want or what they think they can do moving forward. But I haven't heard back from anyone officially. Um, it's I don't have an answer, David. I mean, I wish I did. They could choose not to play football. That stinks too. Um, but quite honestly, they're not, as right now, they're not going to be overly competitive in 3A either. I mean, Cody Star Valley are pretty dang good. Not that they'd have to play them, but there's a lot of good 3A teams too. So I don't have an answer. Try to work with the schools. But for now, I don't know what they're going to do for next school year. They have options just like Guernsey does, but I haven't heard anything official.
And to kind of back up the point you made at the beginning, opting down means, as you mentioned, you're ineligible for the playoffs. Sometimes, I guess the competitor and me personally, I look at that and go, well, why in the heck would I want to play if I have nothing to shoot for in the postseason? And then to add to your tenure, I mean, Douglas was a young team, Riverton was young, Lander was a little bit on the young side. We know Buffalo can be good. Yeah, that 3A East has some really good football programs. So it's
Right.
not an easy solution. I just don't know what the best solution is. And I'm kind of getting that from you as well.
Yeah, I don't either, David. I wish I did. If we had answers, I would certainly share them with you. But it's unfortunate they're just in a spot where I don't know what the future looks like. It certainly doesn't look great as of right now. But yeah, we'll just wait and see, communicate with the schools and see what they feel is best, and then hopefully make some decisions.
You mentioned the structure and setting the classifications. How has the conversation, whether it's been with fans or administrators or whomever, been in terms of how things have kind of gone here to start with the different reclass structure this year, particularly in some of the, I think of volleyball, which had odd number of teams in 4A with 15, and that'll be the same in basketball and track moving forward. But how has that conversation kind of been?
Well, last year was the difficult part because when we went to 15, and we'll just speak to 4A for now, that created some scheduling issues. And how does that look like with 7 on one side and 8 on the other? I think schools have worked through that. Obviously, the regional tournament looks different in the East than it does in the West, and it'll be the same thing for basketball. But, overall, we've heard positive comments. There might be a few individuals that aren't necessarily a fan of it, but we're just starting, so I think we need to let it play out. And I'm not saying it's perfect, but so far we've heard a lot of positive comments.
Is there any thought in terms of, and this would be kind of an outlier because you normally don't touch football too much, about adjusting things football wise, what that might look like moving forward? Have there been conversations at least started in that regard?
Yeah, just some, nothing real, but we've had some chats about, well, maybe we go to 12 in 4A football.
Okay.
that might help Cheyenne South, but that would have Star Valley in there. So I don't know if that would help them, but maybe go 12 and then, looking maybe go 10 in 3A, just to help that because Star Valley's growing, Jackson's growing. So they would probably fit more closely into the 4A ranks than they are in 3A. So I think those conversations are going to start happening more often. I think part of it too is Star Valley's so good in football that some folks just feel like, let's just move them up. Well, it's not that easy. And if you think about it, if you put them in 4A today, think about their travel. Their closest game would be Rock Springs. I mean, you got 3 schools in Cheyenne, 2 in Gillette. Casper's 6.5 hours probably from Star Valley. So there's no easy solutions.
Well, Trevor, I appreciate you taking time to catch up with you on just a few brief topics, and hopefully it continues to be a quiet year. Let's just say that much.
I agree. And thanks for everything you do, Dave. We appreciate it.